Well, first responders are tasked with the responsibility to aid in any crisis. The calls, oftentimes cumbersome. Well, the expectation to keep the public safe, or in some of the most difficult scenarios, save one's life. ABC4's Jason Wynn investigates how emergency calls affect the first responders on the job. Tonight, we begin our 5-part series, The Weight of the Call.
There are 9 people that I worked with that I have names and dates of people that actually I worked with that killed themselves.
I mean, we've had a firefighter suicide 6 years ago in our department.
I had been through several calls that I had struggled with personally.
I think that that's probably the scariest thing, that somebody could walk in, find their loved one in that way.
I was, angry all the time at the people whom I loved the most, and that was the worst part.
Have you ever had to call in for help yourself?
Yes, yeah, I have.
I even thought of committing suicide.
The weight of it really started to sink in.
To some respects, you always kind of think it won't happen to us.
Utah's first responders are in the midst of a mental health crisis.
Back then, you didn't talk about mental health issues, right? It was very much seen as if you had a mental health issue, there was something wrong with you.
Our first responders are a special breed of caregivers. They run towards danger rather than away.
To show weakness or whatever, when we're really supposed to be the ones that can take control of those situations.
When the emergency lights stop flashing and the harsh reality of the call sets in, who's there to rescue our rescuers?
Because I think we're seeing more and more the results of not dealing with it.
It's an unknown weight of the call.
Unfortunately, it's a cross that we as first responders will bear for the rest of our lives.
Since 2016, 4 people within the Utah law enforcement community took their own lives. Nationwide, 578 brothers and sisters in blue, suffering in silence, did the same, according to BlueHelp.org. The numbers aren't better for firefighters. Since 2002, Firefighter Behavioral Health Alliance states 15 Utah firefighters took their lives. Nationwide, there are 1,375 confirmed suicides to date. The Ruderman Foundation found police and fire personnel are more likely to die by suicide than in the line of duty.
I mean, we need to do all that we can to prevent anybody getting to the situation where they feel so hopeless that they're contemplating taking their own life.
Davis County Sheriff Kelly Sparks says it's in the DNA of first responders to help others. Ironically, the selflessness and hero mentality may prevent these men and women from getting the help they need.
We ought to be dealing with these mental health issues the same way we deal with physical health issues.
First responders often see and deal directly with the worst life has to offer. 18-year veteran Neil Major, a deputy and paramedic in Davis County, suffers from the weight of his calls.
I went on a call with a child who ended up dying, and I was doing CPR on that child, and I noticed he was wearing the same pajamas that my son had. I had a son that was the same age as him. He felt like the same weight. I felt like I was holding my son in my hands.
There's no denying the emotional weight of an emergency call and the huge burden that comes with responding to that call.
We have a 5% higher PTSD rate than the general public does, just from the trauma and some of the things we see.
Furthermore, these emergency workers often deal with what's called vicarious trauma, listening to horrific and emotional firsthand accounts of survival, and that takes a huge emotional toll on a person's mental health. ABC4 News found in a 4-month investigation that vicarious trauma is often harder to treat and presents other problems.
We recognize that it's causing other issues with substance abuse, marital problems, can be money problems, all of those things that can be a result of that. And of course that affects their performance at work, and we need to be on our game when the tones go off.
The acknowledgement of mental health issues like PTSD by ranking members of first responders allows those who usually suffer in the shadows to come out into the light in search of help.
We as leadership, from the top of an organization through all the ranks of leadership, just really need to normalize it and encourage it, and maybe even have an expectation that that's what we'll do.
Our first responders are looking at ways to deal with mental health issues in their departments. It's something that's gaining rapid support across our state. One of the groups that is often overlooked is our dispatchers. And tomorrow night, we're going to show you what the weight of a call does for those who don't often finish them.
Oh, most definitely. And I just have to, I feel like we need to thank all of our first responders out there for the sacrifices they put out for responding.
Or even talking about this issue.
Right.
Because
and
it
for
is a big
opening
issue.
up. It is. So we have to ask, are there programs for these first responders?
Emily, there are programs, and for most departments, it's the Employee Assistance Program. But I've talked to over 100 different firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and they all tell me they don't really use that program. And that's why departments, they're looking for other avenues to deal with mental health, and we're going to explore those as the week goes on.
An important topic to discuss. Thank you so much, Jason Wynn.
Thank you.